will ask the questions here today. I've never done this. I'm bad with names, places, characters' names.
It's a big coup that we got Jennifer Garner.
The order of things. So
First person I ever met in LA. Nicest person, gave me cookies.
We've been friends a long time. And yet we will still get through this, and we will not take you through our relationship. First of all, are you guys okay? I mean, it kind of packs a punch, right? Are you good? Are you hanging in?
Yes, thank you.
I know. Yeah. All right, so I just want to quickly, we're going to get into all kinds of things. Look, we all know how the sausage is made here. That's the idea, right? So we're going to dive right in. I'm not going to, mamby-pamby about. But just for funsies, I have a couple of things that I want to start with. One, we're going to get into prep, don't worry, for everyone. But raise your hand quickly, this is just a little speed round, if you worked with Tim Monick. Okay, thank you. If you did, listened to the Gruen tapes. Okay, if you had letters from Bernstein that you learned from, paid attention to, read any letters from him. Okay, not Bradley. Oh, yeah, yes, Bradley. Okay.
You were taking a long time. I was waiting for you to finish that thought.
Okay, all right. Great, thanks. If you got to know the Bernstein family. Okay, great. If you listened to the music incessantly. All right. If you spent hours and hours with Kazuhiro on your makeup prosthetics or wig fittings, that's you, Carey. Okay. If you spent just months and years watching conductors obsessively from the side of the stage like a little creeper. You. Okay. Speaking of creepy, if you had some rehearsal week retreat, I want to know about that, but we'll get there. Here's the cherry on top. If you wore the actual clothes of your characters and shot in their actual house.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Okay, all right. Now, first quick question. I'm just so curious. When you guys are working with Bradley and you're in a scene with him, is there a tell? If he likes it, can you see it in his eyes? If you know he's going to go again, can you see it? Do you see the director in the actor? Go ahead, Matt. Matt Bomer. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Bomer.
Honestly, I wish every actor had the great benefit of working with Bradley. Truly, it's such a present, alive, thrilling way that he works with his actors. It's so generous. He finds a way to make you so in the moment, which is what we always all try to do, but he's there for you. And to have a director like that who wants you to walk the tightrope and stay with him, but will catch you if you fall, that's really all you can ask for. So I didn't notice any tells, but it was a thrilling experience. You can probably speak to it much more experientially than me, but.
Well, hold your thought. Sarah, could you see the director and the actor?
Yes. But I mean, not in the moment. Like, I didn't go like, oh, he'll use this take or something like that. But the last thing you said, do you see the director and the actor? I mean, oh my God, he's just, his whole, every cell in his body is thinking about the movie, this scene, this frame, every detail of it all the time. And he was so excited every moment of every day. Well, he was Lenny, but when he wasn't shooting, he was just really excited Bradley. And it was really cool.
Carey, could you see Bradley thinking about your performance as an actress while you were in scenes with him?
No, I don't think
That's crazy!
I don't think I could. I think I just, from the minute, because he was Lenny, I mean, he got to work at like 2, or, so for about 4 or 5 hours before anyone else got there to do the makeup that would get him to be Lenny. So by the time we got to set, he was like, by the camera, smoking, and he was Lenny. And so I never, there were 2 days where he was Bradley, so I never really So it would be weird. So I'd see him on days where I'd see him like on the weekend, we'd go over for a play date with the kids. I'd be like, oh, you. Like I just didn't, you know. So it was, and in terms of the like services, like it was cellular. It was like from the head to the toe. Everything was so that there was no. I didn't see lines in between.
Bradley, it's so cool. That's so insanely cool that you can do that and have your brain going on all these different levels at the same time. Were you aware? What was your plain old director plus actor process? Let's just start there. Go for it. Ready, go.
Okay, so Alias. For real. I think I always was obsessed with the.
He was always obsessed. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
No, you go. You go.
You guys, he's talked so much. Isn't it a relief? He was always obsessed, and I honestly, we would be doing a scene, and I would see he would clock, and I would be able to tell if he liked what I was doing or not. I mean, he would come in and watch, on days where he wasn't working, he would go straight to the editing bay and pour over take after take after take of scenes he had nothing to do with, and then come in the middle of whatever we were shooting and report back, you know, in the over-the-shoulder take 3, you really did something different, remember?
Yeah.
Totally crazy. So anyway, all right, you're wound up.
I didn't know anybody in LA, so I just no, but I was obsessed with it. And J.J. Abrams, we're talking about Alias, a television show that I was lucky enough to be on that she started back in 2001. And
Not according to your mom, but yeah.
That's right, I was a star. For 2 seasons, yeah. They came back for an episode. And yeah, I mean, I think the truth is I didn't dream big enough when I was a kid. I didn't give myself permission. But the movies that I grew up, movies defined who I was. I can mark periods of my life by the movies that affected me. And then I always wanted to be a part of that storytelling, but I didn't give myself permission really to dream big enough to make movies. I just thought maybe I could act in them, but it was really David Lynch as much as it was Anthony Hopkins and John Hurt and The Elephant Man that moved me. So it's just the way I'm wired, really. And so to be able to do this now and show you is...
Yep, you're not kidding. It is how you are wired. Let me just go back a little bit. Matt, so can you tell me how the letters between Lenny and David Oppenheim, how those informed your performance, what they brought out in you?
Yeah, so on the Library of Congress webpage, there's a lifetime worth of personal letters between the two of them. Lenny's in this beautiful composed handwriting and David's in this chicken scratch. But it was such a beautiful insight into the shorthand they had together and the shared ambitions and dreams and loves, and it really goes through their entire life. And so David was also somebody who spent his entire life cultivating great artists. He was the architect of NYU Tisch School. Yes, Tisch folks, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So you can imagine when he met a supernova, once in a generation artist like Lenny, the kind of love and affection he'd have for somebody like that. Lenny also wrote a beautiful sonata for him that I listened to quite a bit that was really mournful and kind of full of yearning and longing as well. So,
Well, you had one of those incredibly tricky and vital roles where you're only seen a handful of times, but you are right next to Felicia the entire movie. We have to see you as the counterpoint. We have to see you. And there's a moment, Bradley, where you are running up at Tanglewood, I think, and you want to introduce your new girlfriend, the love to the real love of your life. And it's just this moment that really, it encapsulates so much of the relationships in this movie. It's like devotion, calm, family, against animal longing, passion, because the look you have on your face when you see David, it's like a look that we're chasing the rest of the movie. And that connection between the two of you is so important, and you killed it, because every step of the way, even when Lenny was with other men, you knew where he belonged. You knew where his heart was, and that's just incredible. So congratulations.
And I have to say that we had to convey all that in a very short bit of real estate in the movie, and again, what a gift to have these actors. And from the first time when he does introduce them, and I said early on, we're just going to stay. We're just going to stay. We didn't even shoot Lenny. I just wanted to hear Lenny say, "Was that insensitive of me?" I guess and we're just on David, and because I could only do that as a filmmaker because of the actors, and just staying on him and his face in that moment when he introduces them and they walk away, and what a gift for a filmmaker.
Well, while I'm talking about the two of you, do you guys mind if I jump around? Thanks. Can we just go ahead to the walk and not talk? Because wasn't that an entire scene? And
Yeah.
what was that scene? What was written there? What was it about? What made you make that? What made you make the decision? That goodbye, the heartbreak of that. I cried. Okay, no.
Okay. So there again is a testament to this actor. It was a scene that Josh Singer and I had written where they're catching up on each other's lives, and we did it a couple times, and I was like, all this shit's just getting in the way. We're just there. It's lived, and I can feel it. And again, that's a testament to Mark Bridges, the costume designer, and what we were wearing, all the work that he had done. And I just thought, fuck it, let's not say a thing. Let's just take this walk down Central Park. And that was it. The minute that happened, the whole scene exploded. And then they just stopped, and that was, that was it.
That's what I was speaking to about working with Bradley, though, that's so exciting. The scene that you were first speaking about when I meet Felicia, that was the last take we did, and he basically improvised all of that off camera for the first time, and that's what's in the movie. And
So you thought.
we had this big walk and talk, yeah, exactly. But then we had this big walk and talk, and we just, decided to take that risk and do it without any words. And you can just trust him and jump off the cliff with him, and he's there to catch you, which is amazing.
So crazy bold, truly one of the most beautiful moments.
Can I just say one tiny thing about
Yes.
that walk and talk thing? Sorry. I just, shooting outside in any city can be, but in New York when you're playing Leonard Bernstein, there were probably, I wasn't there, but when we shot in Central Park, there's 50 million people just off camera watching, going, oh my God, it's Matt Bomer, Brad Cooper, and 25 paparazzi. I mean, to be able to distill everything and just be in the moment and believe, and I just think it's...
It's funny you're saying that, but my memory of it, quite honestly, is that I don't even remember the cameras. I just remember us walking. I really do. That was it.
Too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, do that. Okay, Carey and Sarah. One thing that I just loved that I think is so rare to see in a movie is the relationship between these two women and see it evolve and grow. I don't know, obviously your characters knew each other when the movie, before we get into the story, but gosh, sisters-in-law, that's very specific. Can you talk about just how you built it, and how one thing that you conveyed so beautifully is time. You conveyed the time in the relationship so that by the end, I could see you'd worn these shoes for a long time together.
I'll take this one.
I just, in terms of the characters, I feel like when Shirley first brings Felicia to meet her brother at the party, it's kind of like, I'm showing Felicia, look what I have, and look what I brought, There's something, Shirley needed to kind of be in the center of it, I think, inside, because that's all she has. It's like her whole life molded around her brother, and that's how it is with him, he's a force. And then as time passed on, so in that way, I think it was a little frenemy-ish. And then as time went on, we became, I think, war pals, and we understood each other, and there's a deep love.
I don't think it was, it was sort of a deeply complicated relationship all the way, because Lenny was the centre of Shirley's life, and then she became the centre of Felicia's life, but you can't hold both of those two things. And I think in our telling of it, I think if you ask the family, it was maybe always a very complicated relationship. I think there was kind of a really lovely coming together that Bradley and Josh wrote into that palm court scene, that they have got to the point where they know each other that well that they can...
It really was. This relationship was an example of what his effect on people, and how eventually they would band together in order to survive. And like, for example, in that scene in the Dakota apartment, which was beautiful. Kevin Thompson, he designed that whole scene on set, and it was just, we felt like we were at the Dakota. And then Shirley just says one thing, shall I fetch him? When we know that he just took Tommy outside, that Shirley clearly knew it. Just that one, to me, there's that one beautiful moment where you're like, hi, shall I fetch him? You know, like that's you protecting her.
Don't...
That was a bad reading, I apologize. You do it. I shouldn't act. Stick to directing, bro.
But Sarah, you come in with a very bold, different energy. Then, it would be easy to come in at the same tempo as the actors that you're working with in the scenes, and you come in at an angle. And I just wonder, were you aware that you were making a bold choice? Not bolder. I didn't mean bolder, as if you weren't bold.
I got it.
Okay. I mean,
Finally, a bold choice, is what the audience said.
So, were you aware of it? Did you, or is that just the you and the ebullience you brought to it?
I'll say the latter, but I think Shirley it's surviving. Like my therapist says, you can't thrive if you're surviving. It's like you're just. And I feel like Shirley kind of acts like she's thriving, but she's surviving. So there's an energy, you can smell that a little bit,
And one last thing about this. Am I correct did you say to her that you were about to take a huge dump in the party?
That's correct.
Okay.
There was a crudeness to him that I loved. He's this extremely eloquent man, and anybody could do Lenny. There was just this sort of gutter crudeness to him that I sort of part of his charm. He was so many different things at once. You could never peg him in any way.
Okay. Yes, that's.
He refers to her, the air that moves through her body, and he's like, well, any which way, I guess. And then he actually thinks about it. Well, I guess we'd have some pitch variations, and he's talking about farting,
Carey, one kind of recurring thing for Felicia is standing next to the stage and just pouring your energy into Lenny. It feels like you guys are tethered to each other in those moments. I don't know if that's what it felt like to you, Blank, but as an audience member, that's what it felt like to me. What were those moments for you? And also, what took you from knowing and saying, I know, but I'm not going to see it and I don't care? What was this moment that it switched? Was it you're getting sloppy? Was it, where did that happen for you? Because you pitched it so seamlessly. I was kind of like, wait a minute, something just changed.
Oh, thank you. The watching, I think that's a big part of her life experience of just watching him, being two artists in a relationship where one is an artist and a great actress, and actually an actress who's more successful than him when they first met, to being with someone who's, the greatest of his generation. For that, to live in a relationship like that and to kind of give over your life to the dedication of someone that you really believe is a once in a lifetime, once in a generation talent, and so I think the watching was a lot of sort of standing in the sun of when he, and I think people felt that watching him, and she would feel that more than anyone as his wife and the person that he chose to spend his life with, but that people would watch him and really feel that. And it's funny because I think I felt that watching Lenny, but also Bradley, you know, that I had seen the work that he had put in, because I signed on to work on this 4 years before. He'd already been working for 2 years. So I saw so much, you know, of the passion that he had for it and the dedication that he had for it. So there was a lot of it that was watching, there was like lots of swells of pride that were sort of mixed in between what I felt as Felicia and mine. But I think that when it comes to the betrayal or the sense that she sort of lost him, it's not anything to do with sex. I mean, she was clear from the beginning, she knew exactly who he was. I say it in the film, and she said it in a letter to him, one of these letters that you can read between them. She said, I know exactly who you are, but I love you and I want to make a life with you. I think she was always accepting that there were things that we didn't need to talk about, that would make him feel a whole person. The betrayal is that in the moment when he's most nervous and he's got this new piece of work that means so much to him, when he needs assurance, he goes to Tommy. He doesn't go to her. And I think if his hand had reached that way, there would have been a different, you know, the film would have taken, or their story would have taken a different path. But it was the betrayal of, I'm not your center, I'm not your grounding force anymore, it's somebody else. And that's, I think, ultimately what broke her heart.
Bradley, I saw it, anyone who knows and loves you watched you prep for this movie. It's not prep, watched you live it in deeper and deeper layers, watched you write the script for literally years with Josh, Josh would come on vacation, he would show up here, he would show up there. You guys worked forever, and at the same time, you were consuming music, and you were consuming conductors of music. And it was like you were pouring it in. Were you working, from what I saw, you weren't working with a conducting coach early on. You just were absorbing it. And then when the time came, you could do it. Is that right?
Well,
was there a step that I missed in there?
It's all sort of together. I mean, it all was sort of happening at the same time, investigating what the movie could be, figuring out what it is, then starting to write it, and at the same time knowing that there were these sort of gigantic mountains I was going to have to eventually climb. Luckily, I had 6 years to prep to climb them. But no, Gustavo Dudamel, who is the music director of the LA Philharmonic, who I just showed today at my house. He just saw it this morning, which it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. So I knew early on that the Mahler's Second Symphony, The Resurrection, which is what we conducted in Ely Cathedral live, that was really 6 minutes and 21 seconds of music. And so I spent from the first rehearsal all the way to the final performance when he did that with the LA Philharmonic at the Hollywood Bowl. And then 2.5 years later, I went with him to Berlin and spent 2 weeks with him with the Berlin Philharmonic, where he did the exact same piece. And then there's also I got the raw footage. Lenny did that in that cathedral with the London Symphony Orchestra in the 70s, and I have him conducting that. And then Yannick Seglin, who is the music director of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and also the music director of the Met Opera in New York, he was also a major component and was there on set when we had to do those scenes. And then he also made videos, and he helped keep time and all of that. And I just did everything I absolutely could. I also spent years at the New York Philharmonic, opened the doors. I would go there 3 or 4 nights a week, every week. I just absolutely, Michael Tilson Thomas was a great influence, and spent a lot of time. And he took some of the little parts of the movie that are in there are stories that he told me. And Jaap also, who's the music director of the New York Philharmonic. I mean, I could go on and on. Yeah, I just did a lot of work.
That is so evident. Yes, thank you. That deserves.
It's terrifying. I mean, nothing scarier, not singing at the Oscars, not playing a classic grade, nothing came close to sitting in front of all unicorns, you know, the concertmaster, like in between a take, he was like, look at this, there's a photo of him when he was 4 years old with 2 wooden spoons. That's when I started. I was like, great.
Yeah, and you also had your producers there. You had Mr. Spielberg there. You had, you had.
Well, I mean, the truth is, we kept it a very close set. No one really, there's no video village, there's no chairs. Stephen was kind enough to come 2 or 3 times, but no one was there. It was just
I'm
us.
thinking about when you first did a camera test.
Oh yeah, we did it
sorry.
during COVID. We did a camera test at Disney Hall. Yeah, and Paul Thomas Anderson shot it, and Stephen was there, and Gustavo. That was just to see if I didn't look like an SNL sketch. We did. Honestly, if this looks crazy, I can't do the movie. And because the other lane was Kazuhiro, the incredible makeup designer. Yes. He and I started working on it 4 years ago, and I would spend weekends at his house with Leah playing with his paints. Thank you, Leah, for being so patient. And then we spent 24 hours at the Disney Hall, and we did all 5 looks. He did 5 different looks, and that would take 5 hours, 3 hours, and we did all 5 in 24 hours. And I would go and conduct-ish back then. And yeah, we just to see, and you're constantly working on it.
It's flawless.
Thank you.
There's not a moment.
I only got it right once. I messed up the whole day, the first day we did it, and then I went back the next day, and I asked everybody to go. And again, it's such a testament to the one thing I learned on this movie is to be calm. And if you're calm and open and you've done the work, it will come to you. And I brought the techno crane in. I thought, what's the scene about? It's about her being there, seeing him, and that there's no hate in his heart. And we did one last take, and I said thank you to the orchestra. I said thank you to Lenny. And in that take, which is in the movie, it's just one take of that setup. I actually conducted them properly, and the timpanist came running down. He said, you know, everything we did yesterday was total shit. You can't use any of it. And I was like, no, you really fucked it up. You didn't conduct us. And I was like, no, I know, we're not gonna use it. Good, okay. Well, you just conducted us. Well, you just did, you did it. I was like, I know. And that was it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Okay, so you had, yeah, sorry, this is so not my job. You had Kazu. I'm just kind of blown away. I mean, I can't even believe it. I can't believe what you did. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
So you had Kazu going, you were working with Josh, you were watching all the conductors, and at the same time, you and Carey were building this relationship, which is so full and rich and real. I know I called it creepy, so pardon me, but can you tell me a little bit about that process and about your rehearsal week together?
I mean, the thing that I found working as an actor is that the best thing a director could do was make me feel like I'm completely safe to do whatever I want, and at the same time, they're guiding me to do exactly what they want. It's like this double-edged thing. And that's the thing I asked of everybody, like, please, you have to give over to me completely, and at the same time, I'll make sure you're never acting and you'll feel as free as hopefully you've ever felt. And Carey signed on first 4 years ago, and I asked that of her before there was a script. You know, when I just said it's gonna be a movie about marriage, will you come do it, please? And then I said, can you come to Philadelphia? And we narrated Candide for free, and for 6 days, and she came, and we did it. We just started building this relationship, and then we worked tirelessly with Tim. I mean, Tim Monick moved into my house. We worked 5 days a week for 4.5 years, really 5.5. I was still, Starsborn hadn't come out yet, and I was working with Tim Monick. And then she came on, and I would FaceTime her at all hours of the day as Lenny. I'm like, she's probably like, can we not do this right now?
You FaceTimed everybody.
I did.
That wasn't, you're not special, Carey. Everyone heard from Lenny. We all heard from Lenny.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was excited. I was like, I'm getting the voice. Yeah.
And the voice was, watching the voice evolve and change. I mean, the only time I hear you is when you laugh.
Yeah.
Ever. You don't sound, it's crazy. Okay, go ahead.
So then we did this, I really love this dream work that I learned from Elizabeth Kemp in grad school that was taught to her by Sandra Seacat, who was an incredible teacher who just recently passed away. And we did this dream workshop. I asked Carey to do it, which really is just about like, let's get to a place, I don't know if it's possible, where we can show each other our souls in the most vulnerable possible way that we're bonded for life. I know that sounds kind of heavy, but it's actually what happens. And she did it, and like, you know, we saw sides of each other that like we're just gonna take to the grave. But it bonded us, in a way, and I felt so free after that. I thought, well, that she knows me completely, and that was it. And after that, I had no fear about us. I always knew her ability as an actor, I didn't know that would we have this connection. And after that, it was sealed.
And in that workshop, I mean, the whole week was kind of extraordinary. It was really, it took all the fear out of everything, because by the end of it, we were just, you know, ready. But one of the motifs in the film of us sitting back to back came from that workshop. Yeah, that was something that kind of just came from our work. I really love it so much in the film.
Carey, can you tell me, okay, something about the way that you shot these voyeuristic vignettes and you don't even punch in for a close-up? I don't think there's an insert in the whole movie.
No.
Yeah. So you're kind of just catching what you're catching. Did that, like that, the fight in the Dakota is something that anyone in the world would punch in on, and you didn't. You resisted it. And did that free you up? Did you feel like you were, what did that feel like for you, Carey?
Well, that was the first and then only setup for the whole thing. So
That's crazy!
that was the first. So well, that was the third take of the first setup. So it was a wide, and I mean that's heaven for me. I just want to pretend there's no camera at all. So putting it way on the other side of the room is sort of dream scenario. But yeah, so that was that. We did 2 takes that didn't feel right. Then, as is his way, there was an adjustment made. Bradley, Lenny, repositioned me in the window, and then we did the 3rd take, and that was it. And then there was a conversation about further coverage, and it just felt like it wasn't. I mean, you could talk about that decision, but it was the most fun ever. Fun, you know, fun, but fun. You know what I mean? Like it's full on, but it did feel, it felt like theatre, which is kind of how Bradley and I kind of met. You know, we met through kind of one of those events where we ended up on a balcony trying to hide. And then we saw each other in plays, and Bradley always came to see me, you know, so it felt like theatre, and I loved it, and I was so delighted that we didn't ever do it again.
Yeah, that was always the way it was conceived and written, but that again, all this time of prep and being able to write a script over its course of many years, you know, I was able to sort of explore the public element of their life cinematically rather than talking about it so much. So I always wanted this voyeuristic quality where you almost feel like you're watching something that you shouldn't be watching. And at the same time, I didn't want the audience to feel safe. I mean, when I would watch my parents fight as a kid, I never was in between the two of them looking at either one in a close-up. I was with my sister, you know, 15, 20 feet away. It's just sort of, you know, that's where that came out of originally, was wanting that feeling. But again, she says, you know, very difficult to put, I don't know, it was a 5-page scene, 5.5-page scene. Luckily, I wrote it like 5 years ago. That was one of the scenes that never changed. That like sort of came to me, and then that was it. And so we had that. That was really in your DNA at that point. That said, you know, it's just because it's Carey Mulligan, her ability to run that scene, that I could stay in that wide, kind of for the punchline. It wouldn't work if I went to close-ups, came back for the Snoopy reveal. I mean, it had to. There was also that. I mean, the joke only works if you stay in the wide. But not the main reason. Maybe it was to do it. But really, it was, and that was, I mean, that is, and also the whole movie is sort of leading to that scene. And so, if we didn't get that scene, the movie's not going to work.
And it's kind of a love scene, right? Because she's loving you more in that moment, telling you, fucking go and be you, do it. Love yourself.
Well, it's complicated, you know. You know, I think that scene is about her still on that journey.
Let me tell you what it's about.
Okay, tell me. No, tell me, Sydney. I mean, Jen. What, you going on a trip? What? Let me make you popcorn.
No, tell me how you saw it. Tell me the scene.
No, I'm just saying that to me, what's heartbreaking is you're watching her go through all of this, and her whole argument to him is that he's not fulfilling his potential. She doesn't say anything about what the fuck he's doing. Right, that's her argument. And it's not till she has that reckoning with herself and the audience, that's why it's a close-up at the Palm Court with her sister, where she actually bears her soul and bears witness to what has been happening to her, and says, you know, I envied my children. And that again, Carey Mulligan, the way she played that, the way she tells that story. It's just like, I mean, man, you know, it's insane. It's insane.
Speaking of Carey Mulligan, can we talk about the moment? Gosh, Carey, once Felicia gets sick, it's just hard to watch. I have so fallen in love with you by then. I mean, right from the get-go, of course. But, dude, when you are chatting about dinner and you guys are connecting and Lenny's nervous, but you're super, you know, you're kind of holding it together and just chatting about what Julio is gonna make for dinner.
Oh,
And then it's your actual doctor, isn't that Dr.?
that was Bernard Kruger,
That's
who
Bernard.
was my doctor for years,
Yeah.
and I always loved his voice.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than like a scene where you're like, that guy's not a doctor.
So
And
I-
you know what I mean? And you're like talking to the actor, like, no, it's this part of the pulmonary thing, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I'm trying to tell this guy who doesn't, it was perfect. He's a doctor. So,
He's
you
a
know,
doctor.
and he's
Sounds like a
delivered, and
doctor.
again, he's delivered that news for many, many, you know, hundreds of times. So it was just perfect. I just loved his voice. That's why I didn't want to see him. I just wanted to hear him, and it's about them taking it in
Yeah,
like
you see him on his
children.
back,
And I just always love that their legs off the floor dangling like kids.
Ugh. So you're talking about this, it's all one take, is it not?
Yes, yeah.
Jeez Louise, so it's all one take and you're chatting and you hear the news and you're keeping it together because you're a poised, elegant woman, and then all of a sudden you can't keep it together anymore. Where? What? How just, were you just so living her by then that, how many takes of that did you do?
Of that one, we did 3 takes only because it was very difficult for Bernard to get in that little sliding chair to her. I don't know if you noticed, but he gets there real quick. It's like, I was like, bro, just get to her. Just get in, say hello, and get to her. You know, he was sort of like, I was like, it's not gonna work. I can't stay in the scene. So he finally got it, thank God. So that's why that took 3 takes, not because of her. And I tried it from the other side, and I again, everything that I tried out of fear, what I always saw was that. I always wanted to be that, but I tried it this other way, and I was like, no, this is the way it is. And then I think it was like the 3rd take, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't know, it just felt really real. It's hard to describe. I think when you get that far into a shoot, I mean, that was fairly far, you know, it was far enough along. It felt like, you know, the middle of a really good theatre run where you felt like you kind of didn't have to think too much. And I don't think we were, I think by then it felt, you know, also we're thinking about real people, you know, we're thinking not just about the real people that we're playing, which I think we both felt deeply connected to. I mean, you know, Bradley became, Marcus, Bradley became very, very close to the children, and by that point, like, I was using her lighter every day, it was engraved with her name. You know, you're thinking, you're not sitting there thinking this in an intellectual way, but you are aware that this conversation happened, this happened to them, this happened to them, and then this is what happened to them afterwards, and that's all real. And then this conversation, like you were saying, the doctors had that conversation, this has happened to so many people, and there's just something about that that's just sort of unavoidably moving, and so there's a feeling around scenes like that just, it's real. You don't have to act really, because it's just the truth of life, and you know that. Then it makes it very easy.
I mean, it sounds sort of hokey, but to me, the 3 of you can agree or disagree. It didn't feel like ever that we were acting to me. It felt like there was some sort of calm, relaxation, openness, and then a channeling of allowing them to come in, and then us just to serve them. It felt like a very selfless kind of exercise, ritualistic the whole time. And it's only, I think, because of all the love. There's just a lot of love in this movie. I mean, every crew member. I mean, I would get a text from the A camera operator at night saying, do you think, I remember reading in the script there was that scene in the graveyard, should we shoot that? From the A camera operator. And Mango, the dolly grip, saying, I know you have this thing where you want to do this crane shot. I'm thinking in my head, and I'm like listening to the music that it's written to, and I think I can time it out. I mean, this kind of dedication at all hours of the day for the whole time we were shooting and prep. I mean, that kind of energy that was on set every day, I've really never experienced it. And it felt like because we were serving these people that we all grew to love.
just had a question. Damn it. Bradley, it was a good one. Well, I'll come back.
You
to
got
me.
it, you got
Okay,
it.
Okay, it'll come back to me. It'll
Stay
come back
calm. Open. It'll come to you. Channel it.
Don't try it. You know, can I just say that this is nothing to do with anything, but the way you used art in general, as almost like, it was almost expressionistic, like it pushed the characters forward, like you're dancing, and then suddenly, phew, you're that much further, and then there's music, and suddenly that's told you everything that has happened up until now, and whoop, how it's all gonna turn on an axis and be different going forward. Shit, that was good. Yeah, that was really good. Okay. Hang on. Oh, Bradley, there was a moment. Okay, when you're talking to Jamie, but not Leah, Maya Hawk. Maya Hawk is Jamie, right? Talk about just bringing a fresh energy in, like, this is a new generation. You see all of that. It was the second she comes on the screen. Every single person, like, is crystal clear in my mind. And that is fantastic casting, and it's fantastic writing, but it's also you. I can really picture, I mean, you had Scott Ellis up there. You had Brian Pluckman up there. You had your doctor in there. I was like, oh, it was like an Easter egg hunt for me. Oh, you're giving me lights. Is that the 10-minute, or has that been done a long time? I can't see what you're saying.
1 minute, one single
Oh,
minute.
that's a wrap it up. Okay, then I am going to talk about this, and then I have a really quick thing. Okay, Bradley, okay, you're talking to Maya, and you are so confident in telling her the lie at your wife's behest, right? You're so confident in just saying it's jealousy, and it's like, oh, this is such a fucking narcissist. The narcissism in that. And then the second she says, oh, good, I'm relieved, you don't move a muscle, but your eyes change. It's almost like they change color, right, guys? Yeah. Was that crazy? Yeah. That was insane. I know, I'm supposed to be asking you a question, instead I'm just telling you something.
Yeah, that was a crazy scene. That was a crazy scene. Because in terms of asking the question of like being to balance the writing, directing, acting thing, because we really felt like we were channeling them. That was the first time where he's doing something against his nature. You know, he's not a deceitful person, which was sort of what I was intrigued by this dynamic. He wasn't deceitful, she wasn't a victim. They went into this knowing exactly the truth, and then it was bearing the results of that agreement. And in that moment, when he's deciding to abide by his wife's wishes, and then his daughter is saying, I'm relieved, and then he's thinking, oh fuck, I don't really want to teach my daughter this. And in that moment, it felt so strong in me that I really was gonna tell her the truth. Like, I literally thought in the scene, fuck it, I have to tell her. And then I started to think, and that's why I kept it in, because I just found it so fascinating. Because really what I'm thinking is, okay, I gotta tell her. If I tell her, that's gonna change the script. And okay, he tells her here, she's pissed. I gotta call Josh, we gotta write the scene where Felicia can't believe he told her the whole, and then like literally, and you see my head, he just does that, and then I'm like, fuck it, I can't do that, we don't have enough budget to do all that, we can't reshoot, fuck it, let's go. That's really what's happening. That's actually what's happening. Like that's the inner monologue of the character in that moment.
Okay, so to finish this out, because I have been given the wrap it up, although so much to say. Freaking congratulations, you all deserve all the nominations, you deserve the cast nominations, you deserve individual nominations, you deserve to win all the things, truly. Can you just tell me just how playing this role changed you? Because sometimes roles come along like that, and this is clearly one of those for all of you. Can we start with you, Matt?
I think handwriting out all those letters to Lenny, it's just something so pure and true in the artistry of both those men and their connection. And I have to say, watching Bradley, honestly, is probably what changed me the most, and being inspired by the fact that he was conducting this film the same way Lenny would conduct an orchestra. It was one of the most beautiful and inspiring things I've ever seen.
Oh, that's great. I think that's exactly right. I mean, this guy is so. We were just backstage and we were sitting next to each other, and he said, "Can you believe it?" And I was like, "No, I can't believe it. Can you believe it?" And he was like, "No," you know. And it's like he still is. His whole heart is this movie and making it, and the joy of making it, and how important joy is. Nothing else matters. Nothing matters. Which is, you know, like the thing that makes you spiral down, but it's the thing that takes you out of it too. And that's what, I think that was good.
So hard going off to Sam. I don't know. I mean, it changed everything. Completely changed me. Completely as an actor. Completely. I've never ever. You know, I've never done all in. I've always done like almost all in. And Bradley asked me to go all in, and you can't. I mean, it's almost felt like there was no choice because of what he was putting himself through and the honour of being asked to do it. Honestly. And so I thought, right, well then I'll go all in, and I'll try and not be afraid, because he was making it so fearlessly, and then it was the best experience I've ever had being directed, best experience I've ever had acting, and fell in love with acting more, and fell in love with film more, and it's set an impossibly high bar, and I may never work again. But you know, it was all of that, and it's no hyperbole. It really was that to me. So I'm just, you know, yeah. I could cry. I'm so grateful but I couldn't believe he'd asked me to do it, and I still can't quite believe it. But it's that. It was everything.
So, what was the question?
Just where is Lenny in you? How?
Oh, how's it? Yeah, it's changed our lives. Right.
That was a good question. I see.
You know, because I've thought about it a lot since, because it has changed my life in so many ways, in every way. And I think more than anything, there's something about him. First of all, it's been time for me. I can't believe I didn't actually meet him. He died in 1990. I don't understand it. I feel like I know him. I really don't understand it. His daughter said to me the other day, "Do you miss him?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's just, isn't that crazy? But that's how it feels. But more than that, the thing that he gave me was the knowledge that if all of these people can come together with joy and are dedicated to a common goal to tell the story, there's just absolutely nothing you can't accomplish. And that was to be on set every day and feeling that energy. It just felt effortless. I was not fatigued. I was actually filled with more energy. It was a self-generating sort of battery, because everybody, I just saw it, and they were so willing to give over to this story because they thought it was worth telling. And then the fact that I could feel you receiving it and giving it back to us now, and it's kind of, I mean, that's why I got into this business, this art form. I just want to heal. I want to be healed. Movies healed me. I hope to be a part of something that can heal others, and that's it.
Let's hear it for these guys. It's incredible cast.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much for staying, and thank you to everyone